Hi guys, it's almost as if the Tories want to stay in opposition and never win back power because they don't seem to understand why they lost in the first place. They ran public services into the ground but failed to admit it. They said that they would reduce immigration and stop the boats, but then blamed the civil service for their own failure. They promised to reduce the NHS waiting list, but it reached record levels. They said that they were a safe pair of hands when it came to the economy and then put Liz Truss in charge. If they want to repair their reputation, they first need to be honest. But it seems to be an alien concept to many of them. Here's a perfect example embodied by the Tory MP Harriet Cross.
The Conservative Party are for sound money. We are for sensible decisions. We are for being pragmatic and sensible and a safe pair of hands for the public finances. If that means that we have to look back to the past and say, we got that wrong, or that was not the time for this, or we went too far in one way or another, we will say that. But I think also then we can look at what Labour have done themselves, and they can fire as many stuff at us as they want. But if you look at things that they've done to business and the economy since their time, I mean, the economy was growing when we passed it over to Labour last July. It's now had its forecast halved. Inflation was on target. It's now at 3.5%. Unemployment is 10% higher than it was. So whether or not we said sorry or apologised at the right time or not, depending on who's asking the question, what Labour are doing now currently and is actively having an impact on people's lives today is demonstratingly worse than what was happening then.
It's like, if we made mistakes, we will admit to them. If we made mistakes. See, the problem here is that they don't actually believe that they made mistakes. Or they believe that they can just ignore what they did for 14 years. The first thing they have to do is admit that they were wrong. But not just say, we were wrong, now let's move on. No, they have to be honest about what they did. I don't think this is going to happen with Kemi Badenoch. I keep saying that they need a new leader, somebody fresh, somebody who can distance themselves from the previous Tory governments and say, look, we're breaking from the past. We're going to have a new party. We're going to have a new manifesto. We're going to have new policies. But as long as Kemi Badenoch is there, that's not going to happen because she's connected to the previous administration. She was the business secretary. So there's no point in hoping that things can improve under under Kemi Badenoch, because it can't. She's too connected to the previous government. And she's not bringing forward new policies. It's all, let's rehash Rwanda. Let's leave the European Convention on Human Rights. These are things that were bandied about in the past. It's not going to work for the Conservatives. They have to come up with something new and they need a new leader. But first of all, they have to admit that they made mistakes. They have to say, we were wrong when it came to the NHS and explain why. They have to explain why they were wrong when it came to the economy. They have to explain why they were wrong to cut public services. They have to explain the problem of austerity. They have to admit these things if they want to improve their reputation. I think this may happen. We may eventually get a leader for the Conservatives who's honest, because that leader would understand if we're honest, we can move on. We can say, look, we made massive mistake. We didn't fund the public services correctly. We didn't bring down the NHS waiting list. We didn't deal with immigration the right way. Then, with a new leader, you can start afresh. You can start with a new manifesto, new policies. But with Kemi Badenoch in charge, and people from the previous administrations along with her, then you're not going to be able to sell the idea that you should be put in charge again. Because people will remember. They generally have short memories. But at least in the medium term, who's going to support the Conservatives? Who wants them back into power? Because people still remember the disaster of Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, Rishi Sunak. The memories are not that short. So if you want to truly convince people that you are a safe pair of hands, you need to remove the old guard, you need to start afresh, and you need to present policies that would actually improve people's lives. I think it's a tall order for the Conservatives, but they're going to lose support to reform, they're going to lose support to the Labour Party if they continue the way they are. You notice it's always somebody else's fault. And whenever they're challenged, it's like, well, what about Labour? If they continue with this rhetoric and this position, they're going to end up in single figures in the House of Commons. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.